This meeting of the Akron Charter Review Commission is called to order. I'll read the roll. Pedro Avalos.
Here.
John Blickel.
Here.
Barbara Brown.
Here.
Donald Christian. I can see that he's here, but he's connecting to audio. So I am going to record him as present. He just got connected. Donald Christian.
Yes.
Okay. I am here. Bill Rich. Jim Simon. I can see you.
Professor Rich, could you hear me?
Hi. Jim Simon is here. Margot Somerville is not yet. And Matt Timbrook. Matt is here. Okay. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the June 2nd meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Professor Rich, did you already say my name? Did I miss it?
I'm sorry. Oh. I'm sorry. I missed what you said.
I was asking if you had already stated my name as being present.
I thought I did.
Oh, okay. Sorry, then I'm present.
Yes, I had recorded your presence, but that might have been just so I was looking at you on the screen.
Okay, not a problem.
And I see now that Margot Somerville is present. So all are now present. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2nd meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? Matt Timbrook seconds. I do have some corrections that are not substantive, but let me share those on the screen. The end of the second paragraph, the commission approved the meetings of the prior minutes of the prior meeting. It should say as amended. And in the next paragraph, in the second sentence, the charter sections to be considered are part of the city's efforts to modernize the city's civil service into a modern human resources department. Instead of that was explained, it should be, as explained in the prior meeting. And then on the in the first full paragraph on the second page, middle of the paragraph, currently the duties of the Civil Service Commission are spread out in the charter and not easy to, I think, find is really what we mean there instead of identify. And then in the first sentence in the next paragraph, Ms. Doty explained, it says that the proposed changes to Charter Section 106, that would make it a sentence fragment. I think it just means that it's supposed to be explain the proposed changes, omit the word that. The first full paragraph in the next page, first sentence, instead of to add the ability for the mayor and Department of Human Resources to issue subpoenas, et cetera, just say to empower the mayor, et cetera. And that's it.
Professor Rich, those changes will be made.
Thank you. Okay, let me stop sharing.
Do you want him to send it to you, Tammy?
All right. Is there any objection to those amendments to the minutes? If not, All those in favor of adopting the minutes as just amended, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are adopted without dissent. Next, we have new business charter sections 33, 38, 141, 105, 71, 72, and 116, which we'll take in the order in which I just listed them. First, 33, meetings of council.
Brian, Angeloni, or Margot, are you going through these?
Okay, I was not sure if I was tasked with that, but I definitely can. Let me just pull up my information here. 1 second.
Okay, you can go to the next. And this screen shows the changes that were made, Margot.
Okay, perfect. So I see you got it up here. Make it a little bit bigger here. So pretty much in this slide, and Yamini and Brian, please fill in as to maybe where I'm lacking or have left off. Let's see here. The first piece really just talks about special meetings. Currently, when council wants to call a special meeting, it only takes 2 council members to do that. And so we are proposing in the change that it be a majority, pretty much for all council bills, business majority is pretty much what makes, things pass and things of that nature. So we were thinking about, just for consistency purposes, if in fact council members want to hold a special meeting, they would need the majority of council to do that. That's in section 33. Also in section 33 is typically when we do hold a special meeting, the clerk of council actually has to get in their vehicle and drive to every council member's home and deliver the notice. Again, we want to be able to use technology, hopefully, where we can simply send an email letting council members know about special meetings and having them to respond. Brian or Yamini, do you have anything more on that?
Oh, I think that's.
No, well
Yeah.
put. The only thing I guess I would add was that the additional language at the end of that first paragraph would sort of contemplate likely that council would have rules about how notice would be served. So we would not require hand delivery of those things, but rather they would be able to.
Brian, this is Barbara. Just wanted some clarification. So will we say in that last paragraph or that last sentence of the first paragraph may be distributed through any method prescribed by council? Will council be prescribing that in another document, or is that open?
Yeah, generally the way that this is phrased, it would be likely the way it would play out, Barb, is it would be prescribed in their rules of council. So they currently have an existing set of rules that is passed in the form of a resolution. They would probably do that to include how that notice would be. Yes, so they would be prescribed how they.
Thank you.
Just an editorial point. Well, let's say maybe distributed by any method prescribed by council. You don't really distribute through a method, but by a method.
Okay, we can make that adjustment. So the word through would be changed to the word by, and may be distributed by any method prescribed by council. Margot and Brian, you're fine?
Oh, absolutely.
And we're referring to a simple majority, correct?
That's correct. It would be 7 out of the 13 members would be needed.
Okay.
other questions or comments? If not, I take it you're ready to vote on these changes to section 33. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? These changes are approved without dissent.
This is the next section, Charter Section 38. And here are the changes.
And Yamini and Brian, you can kind of fill in here, but this really was an opportunity that we saw as a cost savings. And Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the charter, you know, we would have to publicize things in a series of different publications, which can be and is costly. And so we're proposing maybe to kind of do away with having to publicize in so many different publications, listing this, I think, in the Beacon and just on our website. And I think this is something that the city overall is trying to do. And Brian, you can kind of fill in the gaps on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, that's correct. I think the way that this is set up, the idea is to provide flexibility to the city. So typically we would have, you know, ordinances published weekly, you know, proclamations or other notices. This would give some flexibility to the city to allow us to do that via public on the website, or we could also publish through the Beacon, or sort of whatever that may morph into in the future. Obviously, we don't know the media. I don't know how long that will be around. So we've also included some language about online equivalent, meaning, you know, ohio.com basically. But that is the idea. We could use one or the other or both.
Okay, are there questions or comments about the proposed changes to section 38?
This would require someone to constantly monitor the website.
What I would say to that is, when we're talking about legal notices in the paper, if you're getting a notice of an ordinance, you're going to have to read in some fine print in some little areas of that. Pretty tedious. So the answer would be shortly, you know, yes, if you wanted to stay up to date on which ordinances we're passing, you need to look at the video. But I would pose that is probably far more convenient than searching through the newspaper for the same type of thing.
Are you able to do push notifications?
That I don't know. That would be a technical question that I think our IT department would have to look into.
What was the question? I kind of broke up.
So there's the ability to do a notification push an ordinance is proposed.
Okay.
I mean, it ought to be possible for somebody who wants to keep up on these things to subscribe to some sort of automatic notice about postings. That would be a nice service.
I mean, I've seen a number of public websites where that's done where you can do that automatically.
Is there an estimated cost savings on not having to have it be in a printed newspaper, that you're not taking out ads or whatever, however you put it in journal?
Absolutely. I'm not sure if Brian has those numbers, but again, you know, we're talking about not just out of council's budget, but collectively doing it as a city. Do you guys have numbers on that, Brian?
I don't have specifics. I do know that we spend in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in. So this would at least substantially reduce that.
Yeah, that's
or have the.
It's a terrific savings and a great way to save $100,000 that you can allocate to something else. That's, I mean, if someone's really interested, they're gonna probably look for it on the internet. They're not gonna go to the library, search for your old records. So I think this is a great update.
I mean, I think one of the challenges these days also is as newspapers have less business and less advertising, these mandatory items have gotten a lot more expensive. At least I've seen it in the things that I still have to publish, the few that they are.
I did.
I would,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I just caught one typo in the last sentence. I believe there's said copies are a true and accurate depictions.
Yeah, right.
And then also, I did just want to raise this, and I apologize for not seeing this earlier, but it does say the city's website, and I know that City Council has a separate website from the what we call the city ohio.gov website. So I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to make that specific to Akron City Council's website.
I think we could probably add or City Council's website as opposed to the city's.
Well, I wonder whether we even want to be that specific, because who knows how things might change in the future. How about on a website?
Okay, if we can do that. Because it actually might be nice. It might be nice. I'm just kind of thinking it might be a thing where maybe it would be on City Council, maybe it would be on the main website too. So I don't know how we could word that.
Would it ever, I mean, maybe everything be coming from the law? I don't know if the law department has a website. Would that be like a central place, being that most of the changes or ordinances may flow through them naturally? I don't know. I'm just spitballing there.
But I mean, these things can change, and this is a charter. I would say just say on a website and
Or designated.
work out the
website.
details later.
I think maybe saying a city website would be more helpful so people know that it will be an official city website. We won't be putting it somewhere obscure that people won't be able to find it. Would a city website?
I mean, to me, I think about newspapers, the standard use of general circulation, and I think so. If we want to make sure that it's not an internal website.
So what about an official website? Official public website or something like that?
Also, I don't think it would be qualify as meeting the definition of published if it was an internal only website. Published connotes externally available, so I think that would exclude an internal website.
Yeah. I like a city website.
Okay.
Okay. A city website. Is that the final?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's the recommendation.
I'm having trouble hearing very well here.
Yeah.
Cut off here for some reason.
Or maybe a City of Akron website. If we want to rule out the possibility of some other city's website.
Just out of question for my clarity, Ellen, you said that there was a typo at the end.
Depiction should be singular.
Or you need to get rid of the word a.
A, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Drafted on.
Struck out.
Oh.
So it said copies are true and accurate depictions of the original.
That's the version
Well,
I can't see the strike through. Sorry.
Nope, just trying to clarify. Okay.
Well, in that case, then originals should be plural.
Of the originals. They said copies are true and accurate depictions of the originals. That's correct. Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments on the proposed changes to Charter Section 38? If not, I take it you're ready to vote. All All those in favor of approving the proposed changes to section 38 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Those changes are approved without dissent.
Okay, the next section deals with public meetings and records. And Tammy is going to go over this division with everyone. Not too much, but
There was an amended version of this sent out a couple hours ago. Is that what we're looking at in the final version?
And that's the one that's in the PowerPoint. We added that in there.
Okay, thank you.
So on this, it's really simple changes. We cleaned up the language in the first paragraph to allow executive sessions, also for deliberation, subjects for which we can go into session. And then for conferences with an attorney, for pending or imminent court action and to obtain legal advice. Then the other change to this section is new number 7 that says for any other reason permitted or set forth by law. The reason for this is our current charter language does not contain all of the exemptions that are found in state law right now. So our charter is actually more restrictive than state law. So we want to be able to have council and our boards and commissions take advantage of all the reasons for executive session that are in state law. But we realize state law can change more frequently than our charter. So we're hoping to add this language to give more flexibility in the reasons for executive session. And then the new B is just to allow flexibility in how to conduct meetings. This would give council and our boards and commissions the ability to establish procedures and rules so that they can meet by teleconference or video conference or whatever kind of technology develops in the future. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Doesn't sound like it. I take it you're ready to vote on the approval of the proposed changes to section 141. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Those changes are approved without dissent.
okay. There's no proposals on this one. The next section where we will have some proposals, although we do have, Professor Rich did point out the title of this is a little interesting. So, I don't know if
I propose changing it to decapitation.
decapitation. So that's up to you guys. It's all on you if you want. But we didn't put any changes to that. However, if you want to change it to something that doesn't sound so morbid, you can certainly do that. But we have here, and Stacy, you want to go over these? These are just some cleanup changes and clarification on procedure here, conforming to procedure.
Right. We are, as with other sections, changing Civil Service Commission to Human Resources Commission. And in this section, there was a 30-day time period, and we want to just not limit ourselves to 30 days in here, but to have the Human Resources Commission establish with their administrative rules what the time periods are for having appeals and ruling on this type of suspension or reduction appeal. And then in the last line, we also just changed The Human Resources Commission shall proceed to review such changes and render judgment which may affirm, disaffirm, or modify the judgment of the mayor. So the mayor can suspend, reduce in rank, or dismiss the chiefs of police or fire, and they do have an appeal to the Human Resources Commission. So the main function doesn't change, just the method, name of the commission, and the timelines change.
Pursuant to the human resource rules. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, in the other, I just noticed this, in the other provision that deals with this, we changed disaffirm to reverse.
Oh, yeah.
Do that here too.
Right.
So we will make that change here as well.
The judgment may affirm, reverse, or modify the judgment of the mayor, is what it would be.
Right. That way we keep the wording the same.
Is it possible, I'm sorry, is it possible we can change the division heads to the division chiefs, since the reference is regarding the two chiefs? Someone had an issue with word heads.
In the type, removal of division chiefs instead of heads.
Because that's consistent with the language.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, why would the title use a different term than the text in that regard?
Yeah, and a lot of people can play with that heads thing, so we could clean that up.
Want to take off their heads, really. We just
Nobody wants to be Louis XIV.
want to do any kind of torture here, so. Okay, we will change that to say removal of division chief.
Chiefs.
Chiefs, plural.
Plural, because there's two of them, correct?
Correct.
Have two audios going at the same time. It's causing a, there you go.
Okay.
Here's
Okay, any other?
with that, and of course, glad the change was discussed as well.
Right. Any other questions or comments about the proposed changes to section 71?
I have a question. Is this where it says Human Resources Civil Service Commission? I thought we changed that to Human Resources Commission.
Yeah, that's right.
Should that not be out? That should be taken out, correct?
That's correct. That was an error. So
Okay.
we would just read Human Resource Commission, Human Resources.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I missed that. Thank you for reading that out.
Any other questions or comments about section 71? If not, then all in favor of the proposed changes as amended to section 71, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Those changes are approved without dissent.
Section 72 refers to the employees and officers of police and fire divisions, and the mayor shall have the right to reduce in rank or dismiss any officer or employee from the division of police or fire, and the chiefs can suspend or recommend the reduction in rank. They can't dismiss, but they can suspend and or recommend to the mayor. Here we are changing, instead of just having rules and regulations, we're adding policies and procedures of the Department of Human Resources, as well as the rules and regulations of police and fire, because those
There are
are
also policies they have to follow. This also gives the mayor opportunity to allow his designee to afford the hearing to the employee, and that might be, the deputy mayor for labor relations or some other designee that is experienced in this type of hearing. Also, we're just cleaning up the language. We're making this language most of the modern labor laws, and we just want to make it clear that they're getting a hearing, and decision of the mayor can be appealed to the Human Resources Commission in accordance with their administrative rules or as set forth in their collective bargaining agreement if applicable.
Removing all this.
Right. The end, there's quite a bit of strikeout. Some of that is also incorporated back into the section 103A that we talked about last week with what happens at the commission and the right to appeal any commission ruling. That was moved.
Okay, so is there anything that was stricken at the end of this paragraph that was not moved?
The details on the timelines for the Civil Service Commission, that was not moved because that's incorporated in their administrative rules, which is also addressed in section 103A. So they make their rules in the timelines.
Right. That it? Other questions or comments about the proposed changes to section 72?
Would you like to see the clean version?
Yes, please.
There
Thank
go.
you.
Control. I don't know if somehow we did that.
Any further questions or comments? Any objection to proceeding to a vote? All those in favor of the changes proposed to section 72, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Those changes are approved without dissent.
The next section is referring to reduction, suspension, dismissal for any other employee in the classified service. And we're doing pretty much the same thing in this section where we're showing that the mayor or his designee may suspend, reduce in grade and compensation or dismiss any permanent employee service. And some of the reasons why he would have a designee would be sometimes there are issues that are with temporary employees that aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily discipline or any reason for termination. It could be just that we're ending their employment. We want to make that human resources can do this, or maybe labor relations has certain reasons why they need to suspend or reduce in grade or terminate someone. So we're ensuring that the employees will get a hearing with the Human Resources Commission, and they will hear that in accordance with their administrative rules or in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement if they're a bargaining unit member and if that's applicable. In the second paragraph, we're just changing appointing authority to the mayor because that's very specific. We only have one appointing authority. We want to make that clear. And then we are eliminating the appeal to the Court of Common Pleas here, because that's also addressed in the section 103A, where we describe the charter, the Civil Service Commission's powers and duties.
There are questions about the changes proposed to section 116.
I can show you the clean version.
In that last sentence, after reasonable notice to the accused, and I think you want to insert the article, indefinite article A, and a full hearing.
And a full hearing.
Okay. All right, we will make that change.
Other questions or comments about the changes proposed to section 116?
Relative to that paragraph, all of the other due process considerations are written somewhere else in terms of time and all that kind of stuff, method of notice, time for the hearing and all that.
Right, that will all be covered in the Human Resources Commission.
Okay. Thank you.
And by policy.
And by policy.
And or by contract.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor of approving the proposed changes to section 116, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Those changes are approved without dissent.
Okay, that's all we have for our proposals.
I have a question. I thought I read something earlier that they added the law clerks and the paralegals into the unclassified section of employment. Is that correct? Is that a change, or because they didn't used to be? When did that come about?
Yeah, we were going to make that proposal. We have withdrawn that proposal. We had some changes we were going to make to that section. I used to be a clerk cook, by the way, so.
Yeah, I was too 38 years ago, and it was classified. They weren't at the mercy of a new administration coming in and getting rid of it.
Yeah. We did remove all those we removed all those proposals, so they're not being.
How are we doing on timing of, I know we need to wrap up by the end of June. How are we doing on terms of going through the things you bring to the commission?
I was just about to address that and some related matters. We are now at the end of the proposals from the administration for charter amendments.
Really?
That is what I have been told. I'll give anyone a chance to correct me if that has changed.
It was just getting fun.
Yeah. So, well, the next bit of fun we could have would be for each of us to go through the charter and see whether there are any changes we wish to consider. We could take those up in the next meeting. And then the meeting after, so that would be the 16th. The meeting after that, the 23rd, we need to have an opportunity for public comment. We can also use that well, if, for example, it turns out that there are some changes that commission members propose in the next meeting, we would have a chance on the 23rd, if the commission is interested in pursuing them, to consider, to give a chance to the law department to draft any those proposed changes, and then we could consider them on the 23rd, as well as give the public the opportunity to make its comments. We really need to be done by June 30th. So, and that is the last Tuesday of the month. So, my hope is that we'll be able to wrap things up on the 23rd. Otherwise, we would have to get the report to council. But we have to get the report to council by July 1st. And if we're still making changes on June 30th, that would be a problem. So we've got two.
Go ahead. Sorry.
We've got 2 meetings left, and I suggest that we use the next one primarily for any changes that any of the commission members wish to propose that have not been proposed by the administration, and then the 23rd mostly for public comment.
That works. My plan is the July 4th week to slowly drive out West Arizona, so I'd be good with wrapping up before then.
I think we need to. Even those of us who are not traveling.
I had one practical question. Do we have the charter with the is there a draft that's available, the charter with the amendments that we have approved via these meetings over the last several weeks? Because it'd be nice, as we're reading it, to not then retread over the ground we've already tread over, and also just be able to have a clearer sense of whether there might be some pieces that need to be fixed based on the amendments that we've approved.
We do have those all prepared, so we can certainly provide you, what's already been, accepted by the commission.
I guess what I'm thinking about is like a single document that has the existing charter as amended by everything we've done. In that way, it would just be easier, at least for me, for one to read rather than have to go through all of our meeting materials.
Okay, we can do that.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other requests or suggestions or questions or comments? If not, it sounds like we're ready to adjourn. Is there any objection to adjournment at this point? If not, I hereby declare us adjourned.